Continuing the script outline 4. Become the greatest your bloodline has ever seen. Machiavelli's Guides, Section 5. Ruthless self-ownership. If you blame the world, you give it your power. If you blame your parents, your past, your environment, you've already lost. Machiavelli believed in personal responsibility as a weapon. He knew that only those who accept full ownership of their lives can truly control them. The world will hand you endless excuses, but excuses don't build legacies, they bury them. You cannot lead your bloodline forward if you are still chained to the reasons why others failed. You are not your past. You are not your wounds. You are the response. You are the decision. And if you want to be remembered as the one who transformed your lineage, you must take complete ownership of every thought, every action, every result. No more waiting for someone to save you. No more hoping the world will notice your potential. No more hiding behind if only. If only they supported me. If only life was fair. If only I had better luck. Kill those thoughts. Replace them with this. It's on me. It's on you to rise. It's on you to change. It's on you to become what no one else could. That kind of ownership is terrifying because there's no one left to blame. But it's also the most powerful position you'll ever hold, because once you accept full control, you become unstoppable. No setback can define you. No betrayal can break you. No failure can hold you. Your bloodline has waited long enough. It needs a leader, a finisher. A finisher. A warrior with the spine to say, it ends with me, and it begins with me. Take the throne of your life, not through entitlement, but through ruthless ownership, because the world won't hand you greatness. You must seize it with both hands. Section 6. Mastery over emotion. Machiavelli taught that rulers should appear emotional, but never be emotional. Why? Because emotion clouds judgment. It creates chaos. It invites manipulation. If you want to become the greatest in your bloodline, you must learn to control your emotions before they control you. This doesn't mean you suppress your feelings. It means you command them. You acknowledge them without bowing to them. You feel anger, but don't explode. You feel fear, but don't freeze. You feel doubt, but still move. Emotional control is power. Most people let emotions make their decisions. You must let strategy make yours, because the path to greatness is full of triggers: disrespect, loss, jealousy, setbacks. And if you react blindly, you will destroy everything you're trying to build. Think like a king, not a victim. A king observes. A king waits. A king responds with precision, not panic. This is where most of your bloodline fell short. They were impulsive. They let pride, insecurity, or anger lead them into ruin. But not you. You will be the one who remains calm in chaos, unshaken in storms, strategic under pressure. Emotional mastery is a signal of evolution. It tells the world you are no longer reactive. You are deliberate. And that kind of composure is magnetic. It commands respect. It inspires loyalty. It terrifies enemies. To lead your bloodline into greatness, your emotions must serve you, not rule you. Every time you stay composed under fire, you carve a new standard into your DNA, one that says, I am no longer ruled by weakness, I rule it. Section 7. Legacy over comfort. Comfort is the silent killer. It doesn't announce its presence. It seduces you quietly. It tells you to rest, to delay, tells you to rest, to settle. And by the time you realize what happened, your time is gone, your potential wasted, your name forgotten. If you want to become the greatest your bloodline has ever seen, you must choose legacy over comfort every time. Machiavelli knew this well. He saw how ease weakened rulers, how luxury dulled instincts. He understood that comfort breeds softness, and softness is the enemy of greatness. So ask yourself, are your habits building a legacy or building regret? Every easy choice has a cost. Every shortcut robs you of growth. Every time you choose what feels good now, you sacrifice what could have made your name eternal. Comfort is not your friend. It's the lie that whispers that you've done enough. But greatness never listens to that lie. It always asks for more. More sacrifice, more discipline, more purpose. You must become addicted to progress, obsessed with legacy. Your life must be a monument in motion. Every action stacked like bricks in a tower that rises above your bloodline's limits. When you're tempted to rest, remember this. Comfort never created anything worth remembering. Your ancestors weren't waiting for someone average. They were waiting for someone relentless, someone who would reject comfort and build something immortal in its place. Section 8. The bloodline reborn. Look at everything you've endured, the chaos, the silence, the trials. And now realize this, you are no longer just a person, you are a force. a living declaration that the cycle ends here. You have broken the patterns, you have risen through pain, you've sharpened yourself in isolation, you've rejected comfort, mastered emotion, chosen ownership, and walked the path few have the courage to even look at. Your bloodline is no longer defined by its past, it's defined by you. Machiavelli said that power must be taken, not received. And you have taken it through grit, clarity, and transformation. You've built yourself into someone worthy of remembrance. This is what it means to be the greatest in your bloodline. It's not about wealth. It's not about fame. It's about becoming the one who rewrites everything, the one whose life becomes a turning point, the standard, the name that generations look back on and say, "Oh, that's when everything changed." Your ancestors couldn't finish the race, but you can. Your descendants haven't arrived, but they'll start from the ground you built. That is your duty. That is your gift. So don't slow down now. The world hasn't seen your full power yet. Your bloodline is watching. History is watching. And when they write the story of where it all turned around, your name will be the first word. Would you like me to break this outline into 8 full-length, 500-word sections for your script? What if you were the one your entire bloodline has been waiting for, but no one ever told you? You carry a name, a history, a lineage of choices both brilliant and broken. Some who came before you built, others destroyed. Some rose, most settled. Maybe you've heard stories about your ancestors, some full of pride, others buried in shame. But whether their names are spoken with reverence or regret, one truth remains. None of them lived your life. None of them had your mind. And none of them had the chance you have right now to become the greatest your bloodline has ever seen. You weren't born just to survive. You weren't placed here just to pay bills, obey rules, and die unnoticed. You are the pivot point, the one who can shift everything forward. You weren't given your experiences by accident. You weren't built to blend in with the noise. You were made to stand apart, to rise beyond the limits they accepted, to drag your entire legacy forward with you. But first, you must wake up. You must open your eyes and see the weight you carry, not as a burden, but as a mission. The habits you inherited, the mindset you were taught, the cycles you've watched repeat over and over, they don't have to continue. They stop with you, right here, right now, because you have the chance to be what they never became. Focused, disciplined, unapologetically driven. You can do what they didn't have the courage to do. Break the silence, break the pattern, break the excuses, and build a name that will echo for generations. But greatness isn't given. It's earned through pain, through isolation, through relentless discipline when no one's watching. And you'll face resistance from others, from within, from the weak voice inside you that says, "Who do you think you are?" But that's the test. That's the call. That's the pressure that forges you into something no one else in your bloodline has ever become: a leader, not in title, but in action. So if you've ever felt like you didn't belong where you were born, if you've ever looked at your surroundings and thought, there has to be more than this, if you've ever felt a fire in your chest that refuses to go out, don't ignore it. That's not frustration. That's not delusion. On delusion. That's your destiny screaming at you. Stay with this. Watch until the end, because what's coming next isn't just motivation. It's instruction. It's transformation. And if you're willing to take the fire inside you and turn it into focus, you'll do what no one before you could. You'll become the reason your last name means something. The one who took a forgotten name and turned it into a monument. And when the future speaks of your bloodline, they won't speak of pain or loss. They'll speak of you, the first, the greatest, the one who changed everything. You don't rise by being surrounded. You rise by being separated. The path to greatness is not crowded because most people choose comfort over clarity, distraction over discipline, noise over purpose. And if you truly want to become the turning point in your bloodline, you must be willing to walk alone. Not because you're antisocial, but because solitude sharpens vision in a way the crowd never can. When you are constantly in motion, constantly engaged, constantly stimulated, you never get to hear the one voice that actually matters. Your own. Silence is not your enemy. It is the mirror that shows you who you are without the noise. Most people avoid it because they're terrified of what they might see. But you must face it. You must stand in it. And you must use it to build an identity so solid, so grounded, that no opinion, no rejection, and no betrayal can shake it. If you want to be remembered, you must step away from everything that numbs you. The aimless scrolling, the endless comparisons, the constant need for validation. These are the chains that keep potential buried. When you disconnect from the noise, you reconnect with your power. That's when the transformation begins. That's when the mental fog lifts. That's when purpose stops whispering and starts roaring. Your environment will try to pull you back. Friends who don't evolve will call you distant. Family who fears change will call you cold. But none of them are responsible for your legacy. You are, and you weren't created to blend in with people who fear their own greatness. You were made to become a force so undeniable that even those who doubted you are forced to respect you. Isolation isn't punishment, it's preparation. It's the sacred place where the weak parts of you are broken down and the unshakable parts are built. In that silence, you learn to train without applause, to study without praise, to endure without comfort. And through that, you grow beyond anything your bloodline has ever seen. You become decisive, you become dangerous, you become unstoppable. That's why the journey feels lonely. It's not because you're wrong, it's because you're ahead. Because the road to transformation has no traffic. Because most people don't want change, they want safety. But safety has never built empires. Safety has never created leaders. Safety has never rewritten a bloodline. So let them laugh, let them question, let them walk away. Because while they chase comfort, you're building a name that will outlive them all. Outlive them. A legacy born not from fitting in, but from walking alone with unwavering purpose. And when the silence turns into strength, when the solitude sharpens your mind, when you finally rise so far above what you used to tolerate, then you'll understand. The path wasn't empty. It was sacred. It wasn't lonely, it was yours. And through it, you didn't just find your purpose, you became it. The pain you carry is not a weakness. It's a weapon if you learn how to wield it. Most people run from pain. They numb it, suppress it, bury it beneath distractions and denial. The boring, brutal, relentless commitment to small, daily victories, those are the bricks of legacy. That's what rewrites a bloodline. Every decision you make either reinforces the old cycle or builds the new standard. When you rise early while others sleep, that's discipline. When you train when no one's clapping, that's discipline. When you shut off distractions, ignore temptations, and choose growth over ease, that is the act of war against the weakness that tried to own you. Discipline doesn't just build strength, it builds identity. It tells your mind this is who we are now. And that identity becomes armor. It becomes clarity. It becomes the force that no pain, no failure, no betrayal can penetrate. Because once your actions match your ambition, the world begins to bend in your favor. Your bloodline may not have taught you this. Maybe you come from chaos, from inconsistency, from people who started things they never finished. But that ends here. That ends with you. Discipline is the boundary line between the version of you that was handed life and the version that takes it back. You owe it to your last name to show the world what happens when someone finally refuses to quit. If your days are undisciplined, your future will be too. But if you rise with structure, if you live with purpose, if you breathe with intention, then every step forward becomes permanent. Every sacrifice begins to echo, and every drop of sweat becomes sacred. This is the bloodline shift. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's silent, consistent, and unstoppable. And those who embrace it don't just win, they redefine what winning means. You don't need more time. You need more discipline, because once you master that, there is no limit to how far you rise, how deep you transform, and how long your name will be remembered by the generations who follow your footsteps in awe. You cannot rise while pointing fingers. You cannot lead while blaming the world. If you want full power over your future, you must take full responsibility for your life. No exceptions, no excuses. The moment you place the blame anywhere outside of yourself, you hand away your control. And control is everything. Without it, you become a passenger in your own story. With it, you become the author, the one who decides how this ends. Responsibility isn't a burden, it's a weapon. It's not about fault, it's about ownership. You may not have caused the pain, the loss, the chaos. But if it lives in your life, it's your job to face it, to fix it, to rise above it. That's what separates the powerful from the powerless. Weakness looks for someone to accuse. Strength looks in the mirror. Every moment you spend waiting for someone else to do right by you is a moment wasted. No one is coming to save you. No one is obligated to understand you. No one owes you transformation. It's on you. All of it. The healing, the rebuilding, the elevation. It's yours to claim or yours to ignore. This is where most people break. They want change, but not the responsibility that comes with it. They want freedom, but not the accountability that sustains it. But greatness doesn't come from being rescued. It comes from standing up again and again, choosing to own every inch of your life, even the mess, especially the mess. Your past doesn't define you, but your reaction to it does. Every excuse you make becomes a brick in the prison you live in. Every justification keeps you tied to the version of yourself that couldn't. But when you say, "It ends with me," you begin building something no one before you had the strength to finish. That's the moment your bloodline shifts. That's the moment history starts paying attention. Ownership is not about being perfect. It's about being relentless. You fall, you correct. You fail, you adjust. You get hit, you recalibrate. Because you know no one else will carry this for you. It's your weight. It's your war. And it's your legacy on the line. You don't need sympathy. You need standards. Standards that refuse to bend when things get hard. Standards that silence every excuse. Standards that turn pressure into precision. You rise when you stop asking, "Oh, why me?" and start declaring, "Oh, watch me." The world remembers those who take command of their existence, who step into the chaos and say, "This is mine now." And that power, that courage, that radical ownership is the key to becoming what your bloodline has never seen before. Because when you stop blaming, you start building. When you stop hiding, you start leading. And when you own everything, you control everything. That is where transformation begins. Not in what happened to you, but in what you decide to become despite it. You will never master your life until you master your emotions. Power belongs to those who remain composed under pressure. Those who feel the storm but do not become it. Most people are prisoners of emotion, controlled by impulses, hijacked by fear, destroyed by pride. They react, they explode, they regret. But if you want to lead your bloodline into a new era, you must rise above that chaos and become something more calm, calculated, and unshakable. You cannot build legacy with a scattered mind. You cannot claim greatness with a heart that crumbles every time it's challenged. Emotion is not your enemy, but it is your responsibility. If you do not govern it, it will govern you, and it will sabotage everything you try to create. Not because you weren't strong enough, but because you weren't stable enough. The world will provoke you. Life will test you. You will be lied to, betrayed, misunderstood, underestimated. But your response is what defines you, not your pain, not your rage, your response. That is where your control lives. That is where your evolution begins. The strongest person is not the one who feels nothing. It's the one who feels everything, but chooses their reaction with precision. You must be dangerous, but disciplined, capable of wrath, but anchored in reason. When you speak, it must carry weight. When you act, it must be intentional. Every emotion that rises within you must pass through the filter of strategy, because the more unpredictable your emotions, the more predictable your downfall. Those who cannot control themselves will be controlled by others, manipulated by guilt, swayed by approval, paralyzed by fear. But when you master your emotions, no one can use them against you. You become untouchable, not because you don't feel, but because you refuse to be owned by what you feel. Composure is your armor. It makes your presence felt before you even speak. It keeps you steady when everyone else panics. It allows you to see 10 steps ahead while others are still reacting to step 1. That's what creates leaders. Not volume, not emotion, clarity, restraint, control. You were not born to be ruled by moods. You were born to lead through them. To feel the fire rise in your chest and still speak with power. To face the insult and still choose silence. To feel fear and still move forward with purpose. That is real strength. That is leadership. That is legacy. Your bloodline needs someone who doesn't just feel deeply, but leads wisely. Someone who doesn't collapse when emotions rise, but commands the moment with poise and power. Be that person, not just for yourself, but for every generation that follows. Because when your mind is clear and your emotions are mastered, you don't just influence others, you lead them. And when you lead with that kind of power, there is no room left for weakness, chaos, or doubt. Only legacy, only strength, only the future you were born to build. Comfort is the silent assassin of greatness. It arrives dressed as peace, but leaves you empty. It whispers that you've earned rest when you haven't built anything worth remembering. It tells you to slow down just when you need to push harder. And if you allow it, it will steal everything powerful from you. Your edge, your hunger, your momentum. You cannot serve both comfort and legacy. You must choose. And if you choose to lead your bloodline into greatness, then comfort must die. Most people live their lives addicted to ease. They build routines around avoiding discomfort. They seek pleasure, convenience, escape. But nothing extraordinary is born in those places. The life you want, the strength you need, the name you dream of turning into a monument, it's all hiding behind discomfort. And only those who are willing to endure it, to embrace it, to walk through it with discipline and grit, only they will ever touch true greatness. You must train your mind to love the hard things, to crave the challenge, to get addicted to the feeling of becoming stronger every time you endure what most people run from. When you wake up tired, move anyway. When your body aches, train anyway. When your mind screams to quit, continue anyway. That's where your future is built, not in the comfort but in the fire. The world will try to pull you back into average. It will reward you for being predictable. It will applaud your potential while secretly celebrating your failure to act on it, because nothing threatens the mediocre more than someone who refuses to settle. Your hunger makes others uncomfortable. Your discipline exposes their laziness. Your ambition reminds them of everything they chose not to become. And that's why you must never dim your light to make them feel safe. Comfort will offer you 1,000 reasons to slow down. You'll hear it in your own voice. You'll feel it in your own bones. But that is the test. The moment when you prove whether you were serious about changing your bloodline or just talking about it. Whether you were willing to suffer for your standard or just fantasizing about one. Build a life that demands your very best. Set goals that terrify you. Surround yourself with pressure. Pressure creates diamonds. Pressure reveals character. Pressure makes sure that every moment you're awake, you're either growing or dying, but never standing still. Do not aim for a peaceful life. Aim for a purposeful one. For the kind of life that forces you to evolve, to rise, to sharpen every edge. Because in the end, comfort will fade, but legacy remains. Ease will vanish, but discipline echoes. What you choose today will either haunt you or empower generations long after you're gone. Choose discomfort. Choose the fight. Choose the pain of growth over the pleasure of stagnation. Because only then will you become the one your ancestors dreamed of, the one your descendants will thank, the one who refused to settle and rewrote the destiny of their entire bloodline. You are the reason everything changes. You are the disruption your bloodline has never seen before. You are not here to repeat history. You are here to rewrite it. Every breath you take with purpose, every choice you make with discipline, every action you commit to without compromise carves a new standard into the DNA of your name. This is no longer about you. This is about what lives on because of you. Legacy is not a fantasy. It is a responsibility. And it belongs to those who dare to take the burden of change and wear it like armor. You've walked through fire. You've buried the excuses. You've silenced the noise. Now you stand at the edge of something greater than personal success. You stand at the beginning of a transformation so permanent, it becomes the origin story for generations that will never know your struggle, but will benefit from your sacrifice. They won't see the battles you fought. They won't feel the nights you wanted to quit. But they will live in the world you built with your discipline, your pain, your purpose. That is legacy. You don't need a throne. You don't need applause. You don't need the world to understand your vision. You just need to execute every day with precision, with intensity, with the quiet knowledge that your name will outlive your body. Not because you were lucky, but because you were relentless. Because you refused to pass on the weakness, the fear, the regret. Because you chose to pass down something greater. Power, clarity, strength. You are not here to survive and disappear. You are here to set fire to the ceiling every one before you accept it as the limit. To leave a mark so deep that your name becomes a symbol, not a memory. A symbol of what's possible. Of what it looks like when someone takes full ownership, full responsibility, full control, and refuses to stop until the standard is permanently elevated. This is what your bloodline has been waiting for. Not perfection, not ease, but someone willing to carry the weight. Someone willing to suffer with purpose, to rise without validation, to build without shortcuts. That person is you. And the moment you embrace that fully, your life stops being about survival and starts being about impact. The future doesn't need another follower. It needs a force. And you have become that force not because it was given to you, but because you earned it in silence. You earned it through repetition. Stand with that power and never look back, because from this point forward, the story of your bloodline is no longer about pain. It is no longer about limitation. It is about you, the one who rose, the one who led, the one who made your name eternal. This is where the old world ends. This is where your name begins to carry weight, not because of what you were born into, but because of what you chose to become. You have earned every scar, every lesson, every ounce of strength through relentless effort and unforgiving standards. Now you must embody it. You must carry yourself as the one who no longer fits into the patterns of the past because you've evolved far beyond them. You are no longer just part of a lineage. You are the reset button for everything that came before you. When they speak of you, it will not be as one who tried. It will be as one who finished, the one who held the line when others broke, the one who stared mediocrity in the face and refused to kneel, the one who didn't wait for permission, didn't beg for guidance, didn't crumble under pressure, but instead stood alone and declared, "This bloodline will rise through me." You didn't come this far to return to the version of yourself that tolerated weakness, that entertained distraction, that waited for opportunity instead of creating it. That person is gone. The doubt has been burned. The fear has been buried. What remains is pure, focused power. And now the world must adjust to the standard you've become. You owe it to yourself to stop explaining your ambition. You owe it to your legacy to stop shrinking your power. The ones who came before you may not have known how to carry the weight, but they gave you enough to pick it up. And the ones who come after you will only rise if you build something unshakable for them to stand on. There is no more room for hesitation, no more time for indecision. The clock is no longer ticking, it's yours to command. And with every second you waste doubting, you could be building. With every moment you hesitate, you could be leading. With every breath you waste explaining, you could be executing. This is what it means to become the greatest your bloodline has ever seen. It means you walk into every room knowing you represent more than yourself. It means you carry a mission behind your eyes, a fire in your chest, and a code in your soul that says, "I don't stop. Not when it's hard, not when it's quiet, not when it hurts." Your silence becomes a warning. Your discipline becomes a signal. Fully, your results become undeniable proof that you are not to be doubted. Because you've built your name not on noise but on transformation, not on attention but on impact, and the impact never fades. From this point forward, your life is the evidence. Every step, every move, every action becomes the blueprint for what's possible. You are not just an individual anymore. You are the future. You are the example. You are the shift. And now nothing can stop what you've already decided. This bloodline will be remembered because of you.